Hannah Park saw her own murder 3 weeks before it happened. She stood at her apartment window at 3:47 a.m., the Seattle skyline bleeding neon into her darkened living room, and watched invisible hands wrap around her throat. She felt the pressure, smelled the latex gloves, saw her own reflection in the glass as the life drained from her eyes. The killer's face stayed hidden, but his wrist, she saw that. A jagged scar running from his thumb to his forearm, like lightning frozen in skin. When she gasped awake in her bed, drenched in sweat, she told herself it was stress. 6 years profiling serial killers for the Seattle Police Department does things to your mind, creates monsters in the shadows, makes you paranoid. But then the other murders started happening exactly as she'd seen them. 12 hours after that first vision, a woman was strangled in a parking garage downtown. Latex gloves, distinctive scar on the killer's wrist. Every detail matched what Hannah had witnessed in her sleep. When she saw the crime scene photos, she vomited in the bathroom at work for 20 minutes. 3 more visions followed, 3 more bodies. She stopped sleeping, started requesting case files for unsolved murders she shouldn't know anything about. Her supervisor put her on mandatory leave, worried about burnout. Her sister stopped calling after Hannah missed their mother's birthday dinner for the 3rd time. Her apartment became a war room of printouts and maps and string-connecting deaths that hadn't been connected before. That's when Detective Elias Mabrahtu appeared at her door. He was tall, composed, with dark eyes that seemed to see through every wall people built. His Ethiopian accent was slight but melodic, like he was always on the verge of telling you something profound. He moved through her apartment with careful precision, taking in the chaos without judgment. "How long have you been able to see them?" he asked. "Not do you see them, not are you crazy, just a simple acknowledgement that what was happening to her was real." Hannah's hands shook as she gestured to the wall of evidence. 4 weeks, since the first vision. "You're here to arrest me, aren't you? You think I'm the killer?" Elias shook his head slowly. "I think you're terrified. I think you've been watching people die and trying to stop it alone because you're afraid no one will believe you." He pulled out a chair, sat down like he had all the time in the world. "I'm here because you've been right about details you couldn't possibly know, and I don't believe in coincidence." "So you think I'm psychic?" The word tasted ridiculous in her mouth. "I think something impossible is happening to you, and I think you need help carrying it." For the first time in weeks, Hannah felt like she could breathe. This stranger, this detective who should be interrogating her, was instead offering to share the weight of her nightmare. They talked for 2 hours. She showed him everything, the sketches she'd drawn of crime scenes before they happened, the timestamps, the victims' faces. He listened without interrupting, occasionally making notes in tight handwriting that switched between English and what she later learned was Amharic. "The department is under pressure," Elias explained. 4 murders in 3 weeks. No leads. FBI's threatening to take over. My partner thinks I'm losing my mind investigating angles that don't make sense." He looked at her directly. "But I've been solving cases I shouldn't be able to solve for 2 years now. Cases where I just knew things. I thought it was instinct. Now I'm not sure." Hannah stared at him. "You're like me. I don't know what I am, but I know I believe you." As Elias stood to leave, Hannah felt panic rise in her chest. He was the first person who understood, and she couldn't let him walk away. But before she could speak, her vision blurred. The world tilted. She was somewhere else. A bridge, water below, red and blue lights flashing. A body being pulled from a car. Young woman, Asian, mid-20s. Jade bracelet on her right wrist cracked from impact. The paramedics were shaking their heads. Too late. When Hannah came back to herself, Elias was gripping her shoulders, keeping her upright. His face was inches from hers, intense with concern. "What did you see?" She grabbed his arm, her voice urgent. "You're going to get a call in 90 seconds. Body near the Fremont Bridge. Asian woman, mid-20s, jade bracelet on her right wrist." She met his eyes. "Don't go alone." Elias's phone rang. He answered it, his expression never changing, but Hannah watched something shift in his face as he listened. When he hung up, he looked at her with an expression between wonder and dread. "Body found near Fremont Bridge. Asian female, mid-20s. First responders just arrived." "The bracelet," Hannah whispered. "Check about the bracelet." He called back, asked the question, listened, his jaw tightened. Jade bracelet, right wrist. The silence between them felt alive, crackling with the weight of impossible proof. Elias moved toward the door, then stopped. When he turned back, his voice was steady, but his eyes held something fierce and protective. Tomorrow morning, the coffee shop across from Pike Place Market, 7 a.m. You're going to tell me everything about every vision you've had, and I'm going to believe every word, and then we're going to stop this together. Why would you do that? Hannah asked, her voice breaking. Why would you risk your career for someone you just met? He considered the question carefully. Because I've been waiting my whole life for someone who could prove I wasn't crazy. Because those women deserve someone fighting for them, and because... He paused, something vulnerable flickering across his face. Because I looked at your evidence wall, and I know what it costs to carry that much death alone. No one should have to do that. After he left, Hannah stood at her window, the same window, from her vision, and looked out at Seattle, the city she was trying to save, the life she was supposed to lose. For the first time since the vision started, she didn't feel alone. But deep in her mind, in a place she couldn't quite reach, something else stirred. A presence that had been watching, waiting. A voice like silk and poison that whispered words she couldn't quite hear but felt in her bones. Soon, Hannah. Very soon you'll understand what you really are. She shook her head, trying to dislodge the feeling. Probably just exhaustion. The stress of too many visions, too many sleepless nights. But when she finally crawled into bed at dawn, she dreamed of a man with a scarred wrist standing in her apartment, watching her sleep. In the dream, he smiled like he knew her better than she knew herself. And somewhere across the city, Elias Mebratu sat in his car outside her building, watching her window until the lights went out. He'd told himself he was providing protection, making sure she was safe. But the truth was simpler and more complicated. Something had shifted the moment their hands touched, like recognition, like coming home to a place he'd never been. He didn't believe in fate. He believed in evidence and logic and hard work. But as he drove away into the morning light, heading toward a crime scene he'd already seen through Hannah's eyes, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life had just divided into before and after. Before Hannah Park, and everything that came next. They began meeting in the spaces between worlds, early morning diners where insomniacs and night shift workers created a buffer of anonymity. Empty parking lots at 2 a.m. where they could talk without being overheard. The waterfront when tourists had gone home, and Seattle belonged only to ghosts and people carrying impossible secrets. Never at either of their homes, never anywhere that felt too permanent, too real. As if acknowledging what was happening between them might make it too dangerous to continue. Their communication developed its own language. Hannah would text timestamps, 3:22 a.m. I saw again. Elias responded with locations. Meet me at the place with the blue door. No names, no details that could be traced, just two people learning to trust each other in the only way that made sense, through shared, impossible knowledge. The Georgetown Diner became their war room. At 2 a.m. on a Tuesday, they sat across from each other in a red vinyl booth, crime scene photos spread between them like tarot cards. The waitress knew their order by the second week. Black coffee for both, blueberry pie for Hannah, nothing else for Elias. You eat like you're punishing yourself, Hannah observed, watching him push away the menu for the fifth night in a row. You eat like you're bargaining with the universe, he countered, nodding at the pie she was methodically destroying. Like if you finish every bite, maybe the next vision won't come. They were both right. Elias taught her how to think, like a detective. What details actually mattered versus what was psychological noise. How to separate fact from fear in her visions. How to document everything in a way that might, someday, be admissible as evidence. Hannah taught him how to trust the inexplicable, how to sit with not knowing, how to believe in something that couldn't be measured or proved but was undeniably real. Tell me about your grandmother, Hannah said one night, watching Elias sketch connections between victims on a napkin. His handwriting switched to Amharic when he was thinking hardest, the characters sharp and angular, like he was angry at the page. He looked up, surprised by the personal question. They'd been careful to keep things professional, focused on the case. but the late hour and the exhaustion had worn down their defenses. "She read coffee grounds," he said finally. "Traditional Ethiopian coffee ceremony. She'd pour the coffee, study the patterns left behind, and tell people their futures. Everyone thought she was entertaining tourists or just eccentric." His voice softened. "But 3 weeks before my father's accident, she told him not to get in cars for a month, said she saw metal and blood and ending. He laughed at her. Everyone did. Except you. I was 8. I believed her. I begged him not to drive that day." Elias's jaw tightened. "He said I was being silly, that I shouldn't listen to superstitious old women. He died 2 hours later when a truck ran a red light." Hannah reached across the table, covered his hand with hers. The touch was electric, their first deliberate physical contact. Elias didn't pull away. "I'm sorry," she said. "Don't be. It taught me that the universe is stranger than we pretend, that impossible things happen every day and we ignore them because accepting them means accepting we have less control than we think." He turned his hand over, laced his fingers through hers. "When you grabbed my arm that first day and told me about a murder that hadn't happened yet, I didn't doubt you for a second, because I'd been waiting my whole life for proof that my grandmother wasn't crazy, that I wasn't crazy for believing her." They sat like that for a long moment, hands joined across crime scene photos and cold coffee, two people who'd found homeland in each other after years of exile. By week 5, they'd prevented 2 murders. Hannah had a vision of a woman being followed from a grocery store. She got the location, the time, a description of the stalker's car. Elias mobilized patrol units without revealing his source. They intercepted the woman before anything could happen, arrested the man who turned out to have a history of assault. Another life saved, another death that wouldn't happen. For the first time since the vision started, Hannah felt like her curse might be a gift. Their communication became more personal. Inside, jokes emerged. Elias learned that Hannah stress-baked at 2 a.m. Her apartment always smelled like brown butter and cardamom. Hannah learned that Elias ran 6 miles every morning before dawn, trying to outrun the weight of what they were carrying. They started craving each other's presence not just for the investigation, but for the person. The way Elias listened like everything she said mattered. The way Hannah challenged him when he got too clinical, too detached. The way they could sit in silence and it felt like conversation. One Thursday night, after successfully stopping a potential victim from going home alone when Hannah had seen danger waiting there, they sat in Elias's unmarked car outside the precinct. The adrenaline was fading into exhaustion. Rain hammered the windshield, creating a cocoon of sound. "Thank you," Hannah said quietly, "for not making me feel like a monster." Elias turned to her, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. For a moment, she thought he might kiss her. Instead, he said, "You're the furthest thing from a monster I've ever met. You're someone who was given a terrible gift and chose to use it to save people. That's not monstrous. That's heroic." "I don't feel heroic. I feel terrified all the time." "Good. Heroes who aren't scared are just reckless." He smiled slightly. "You're scared and doing it anyway. That's the real thing." The moment stretched between them, heavy with everything they weren't saying. Hannah knew she was falling in love with him, had been since that first day when he'd said, "I believe you," without hesitation. But acknowledging it felt dangerous, like naming it would make it real, and making it real would give the universe something to take away. Elias seemed to sense her retreat. He cleared his throat, looked back at the rain. "We should call it a night. You need sleep." "I won't sleep," Hannah admitted. "I never sleep anymore. I'm too afraid of what I'll see." "Then we'll get breakfast instead. That place on Alki Beach that opens at 5 a.m. Watch the sunrise. Reset before the next vision comes." It wasn't a date. They'd been careful never to call anything a date. But as they drove through the empty pre-dawn streets of Seattle, Hannah felt something shift between them. A recognition that they were building something that went beyond the case, beyond the visions, something that felt inevitable and terrifying and right. They watched the sun rise over the Olympics, drinking bad coffee from a beachside shack, not talking much, just being together, just proving to each other that they could exist outside the darkness for a few stolen hours. "Hannah," Elias said as the sky turned pink and gold, "whatever happens with this case, I want you to know—" Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Such a beautiful sunrise. Enjoy it while you can. You have 28 days left. Your future. The coffee cup slipped from Hannah's hand, shattered on the concrete. She showed Elias the message with shaking hands. He immediately called the precinct, started a trace on the number, but they both knew it would lead nowhere. The killer wasn't just watching them. He was counting down to something, and whatever it was going to happen soon. The vision of her own death came on a Tuesday. Hannah was in her apartment reviewing case files when the world tilted and she was somewhere else, watching herself from outside her own body. Standing at her window, the same window she looked out every night, the Seattle skyline lit up behind her reflection, darkness inside, the smell of rain and something else, something wrong. A figure behind her, tall, black coat, face obscured by shadow. She saw his hands reach for her throat, saw herself try to turn, too late, saw her reflection in the window as pressure built around her neck, as her vision darkened, as life drained away like water down a sink. Unlike every other vision, this one had no timestamp, no sense of when, just the absolute certainty that it would happen. When she came back to herself, she was on the floor, gasping, tears streaming down her face. She'd bitten her tongue hard enough to taste blood. She didn't call Elias. For 3 days, she pulled away, canceled their meetings with vague excuses about being sick, needing space, having to deal with family stuff. She stopped responding to his texts with anything more than one-word answers. Put distance between them deliberately, desperately, trying to protect him from what was coming. Because if the killer was coming for her, anyone close to her was in danger. Elias noticed immediately. How could he not? They'd been attached at the hip for 6 weeks, building a partnership that felt like breathing. Suddenly, she was ghost. He showed up at her apartment on Friday night, didn't bother knocking. Used the spare key he'd noticed her hide under the mat 3 weeks ago. Found her at her desk, surrounded by dozens of drawings. The same scene over and over, her murder from every angle. Jesus Christ, Hannah! She spun around, fury and relief warring on her face. You can't be here! What is this? He moved to the desk, studying the obsessive sketches. His face went very still. This is you. You've seen your own death. Elias, please leave. How long have you known? 4 days. 4 days? He wasn't angry. He was devastated. And you were just going to handle it alone, disappear, not tell me? I can't put you in danger! She was shouting now, all the fear and exhaustion of the past weeks erupting. Don't you understand? Everyone close to me is a target. The killer knows about you. He has to. You show up everywhere I am. If I pull away, maybe he'll what? Leave me alone? Elias laughed bitterly. Hannah, he sent us that text. He knows exactly how close we are. Distancing yourself doesn't protect me. It just makes us both vulnerable. The truth of it hit her like cold water. She'd been so focused on pushing him away that she hadn't considered they might be safer together. Elias ran his hand over his face, a gesture she'd come to recognize as him trying to control strong emotion. I need to tell you something. I've been having dreams for 3 weeks, not visions like yours, but dreams where I see things before they happen. Small things, what you're going to say, where you'll be standing, what coffee you'll order. I thought I was losing my mind. He met her eyes. But what if I'm not? What if I'm connected to this too? The room seemed to tilt. You're psychic? I don't know what I am, but I know pulling away from each other makes us weaker, not safer. He moved closer, his voice dropping. And I know that if you die, I won't survive it. Not because I'm weak, but because you're the only person who makes this nightmare make sense. It was the closest either of them had come to saying the truth out loud. That this was more than partnership, more than friendship, that they'd fallen into something neither had planned for and both were terrified to name. We need to set a trap, Hannah said finally, forcing herself to think tactically. If the vision is going to happen, we control when and how. Make it look like I'm vulnerable. But you're hidden, waiting. They planned it carefully. Hannah would stage herself exactly as she'd seen in the vision, at her window, lights off, evening. Elias would be in her bedroom closet, armed, ready to intervene the moment the killer appeared. On Saturday night, they executed the plan. Hannah stood at her window, heart hammering so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. Every shadow looked like a threat. Every sound made her flinch. Behind her, hidden in the bedroom, Elias waited with the discipline of someone who'd learned patience the hard way. Hours passed. Nothing happened. Maybe we got the timing wrong, Hannah whispered. Then her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Do you really think I didn't see you planning this? I've been watching your detective hide in your closet for the past 2 hours. Nice try, Hannah, but you can't trap someone who already knows your next 10 moves. See you soon. Your future. Elias emerged from the closet, checked every room, the windows, the street below. Nothing. The killer had never been coming, not tonight. He'd just been proving a point. He was always 3 steps ahead. They stood in Hannah's living room, the failure of their plan hanging between them like smoke. He's not hunting us, Hannah said quietly. We're the ones being hunted, and he's enjoying watching us try. Elias pulled out his phone, started making calls, to his partner Marcus, telling him they needed to look deeper into the case history, to the FBI task force that had taken over, requesting access to old files. He was done playing by the rules. But when he got off the phone, he found Hannah at her window again, the same spot from her vision, looking out at the city like she was saying goodbye to it. I did some research, she said without turning around. Every victim was killed on an anniversary. The first woman died on the anniversary of my father's death. The second, on the day I had my first panic attack. The third, on my FBI Academy graduation date. Elias went very still. He's been mapping your entire life. December 17th, Hannah continued. That's when he'll come for me. My 9th birthday. The day I had my first real vision. The day I knew my grandmother had died before anyone told me. That was the day it all started. That's 3 weeks away. I know. Then we have 3 weeks to find him first. Hannah finally turned to look at Elias. In the darkness, with the city lights behind him, he looked like something solid in a world that kept shifting. An anchor. A home. What if we can't? She asked. What if this is just fate? What if I was always meant to die like this? Elias crossed to her, got close enough that she could feel the heat of him. Then we change fate. Because I don't believe the universe gave you these visions just so you could watch yourself die. There has to be a reason. A way out. Maybe the reason is you, Hannah whispered. Maybe it is. They didn't kiss. The moment was too fragile, the threat too close. But Hannah rested her forehead against Elias's shoulder, and he wrapped his arms around her. For 5 minutes they just stood there, holding each other, proving they were both still alive. Outside, Seattle went about its business, oblivious to the countdown happening in this apartment. 3 weeks until December 17th. 3 weeks to stop a killer who could see every move they made before they made it. And somewhere in the darkness, a man with a scarred wrist smiled and marked another day off his calendar. Soon, very soon, everything accelerated. In the 2 weeks following the failed trap, Hannah had 11 visions, all of women who looked like her. Korean-American, early 30s, dark hair, all murdered in ways that echoed her own death vision. The killer was practicing, rehearsing, building toward her. Elias moved into the apartment across the hall from Hannah, renting it under a fake name through a friend who didn't ask questions. They were together 24/7 now, which meant they couldn't escape each other or the pressure cooker their relationship had become. Hannah's sister, Ji-won, showed up from Portland on a Wednesday, worried because Hannah had been ghosting family calls for 2 months. She met Elias in the hallway, immediately clocked the intimacy between them, pulled Hannah inside and demanded answers. Who is he? Ji-won asked, and why do you look at him like he's the only person keeping you alive? It's complicated. It's not complicated. You're obsessed with this case, and he's obsessed with you, and you both look like you haven't slept in weeks. Mom thinks you're having a breakdown. Dad thinks you're on drugs. I think you're in love with a man you're keeping secret, and it's destroying you. Hannah couldn't answer. How do you explain that you're connected to a serial killer who's been in your mind since childhood, that the man across the hall is the only person who believes you, that you're 3 days away from your predicted death date and have no plan except to face it head on? I'm handling it, Hannah said. You're not handling anything. You're drowning. Ji-won grabbed her sister's hands. Please talk to someone, a therapist, the FBI, anyone, because you're scaring me. After Ji-won left, Hannah stood in her apartment feeling the walls close in. Her family thought she was crazy. The FBI had officially ordered her to stay away from the case. Internal Affairs was investigating Elias for unauthorized casework. Everything was falling apart. At 2 a.m. on December 14th, 3 days before the date, Hannah snapped. "You should go," she told Elias. They were in her apartment, going over case files for the 100th time, no closer to finding the killer. "Back to your life, your career. This is my curse, not yours." We're past that conversation. Are we? Because from where I'm standing, you're sacrificing everything for me. And I'm the reason you're going to end up dead or fired, or both. Elias, exhausted and raw, finally lost his careful control. "You think I'd be anywhere else? You think I could just go back to my normal life, solving normal cases, pretending I don't know what I know now?" His voice rose. "You didn't just change my life, Hannah. You ended it. The person I was before you doesn't exist anymore." "That's not fair." "None of this is fair, but it's real, and I'm not leaving." "Why?" she demanded, her voice breaking. "Why won't you just save yourself?" Elias went very still. When he spoke, it was with devastating quiet. "Because I'm in love with you, and I have been since the day you grabbed my arm and told me about a murder that hadn't happened yet, and I would rather die with you than live without you. So stop asking me to leave." The confession hung between them like a bomb. Hannah's immediate response wasn't relief, it was rage. "You don't get to do that. You don't get to love me. Not now. Not when loving me means dying. Too late. Elias, I mean it. Too late. You think I chose this? You think I wanted to fall in love with someone who sees the future and has a serial killer hunting her?" His laugh was bitter. "I didn't choose it. It just is." For the first time, Hannah saw the cost Elias had been carrying silently. The terror of watching her walk toward her own death. The exhaustion of holding them both together when everything was falling apart. The loneliness of being the only person who believed her. "I can't protect you if I'm the target," Hannah whispered. "Then we protect each other." The next vision came while they were still fighting. Hannah's eyes glazed over mid-sentence. Her body went rigid. Elias had seen it dozens of times, but never this close, never when they were both already raw and exposed. He watched, helpless, as she disappeared into whatever horror was unfolding behind her eyes. When she came back, she was sobbing, gasping for air. "He was in the vision," she choked out. "The killer, he spoke to me directly. He said..." She struggled to breathe. "He said he's been in my head my whole life, since I was a child. He said he made me what I am." Elias went cold. What does that mean?" "I don't know. But he knew things. Things about my childhood I've never told anyone. The car accident that killed my father. I've always remembered being in the back seat. But he showed me. I was in the front seat, Elias. I was 8 years old, and somehow I was driving. And my father died because... Hannah, you were a child. You couldn't have... What if he did something to me then? What if he broke something in my brain, and I've been connected to him ever since?" She looked up at Elias with desperate eyes. "What if I'm not just a victim? What if I'm his creation? Every woman who's died, died because he was training me to see it. I'm complicit in this." "That's not true. I have to turn myself in, tell the FBI everything, maybe protective custody. They won't believe you. Then I'll disappear, leave Seattle, change my name. He's psychic, Hannah. Distance won't matter." "Then what do you suggest?" she screamed. "Because I'm out of options, and I can't watch you die for me." Elias stared at her. "So that's it? You're running?" "I'm surviving." "No, you're giving up. There's a difference." His voice was harsh now, stripped of gentleness. "You're so terrified of what you've become that you'd rather run than fight. And I can't help someone who won't help themselves." The words landed like a slap. Elias grabbed his jacket, headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Hannah asked, suddenly desperate. He paused, didn't turn around. "To do my job. There's a killer to catch, whether you're with me or not." The door closed. For the first time in months, Hannah was alone. The silence was devastating. She went to her window, the death window, and looked out at Seattle. The city she was supposed to protect. The life she was supposed to save. She thought about all the women who died while she watched. She thought about Elias walking away, probably for the last time. She thought about the killer, somewhere out there, counting down the hours until December 17th. And she realized something. Running wouldn't save her. Disappearing wouldn't save her. The only way out was through. She had to go toward the killer. On purpose, she had to face him in her mind, in his mind, wherever this connection lived. She pulled out her laptop and started researching everything about psychic bonds, telepathy, shared consciousness. Hours passed. The sun came up. She didn't sleep. By the time Elias knocked on her door the next morning, she had a plan. "I know who he is," she said when she opened the door. Elias held up his own laptop. "So do I." They laid their research side by side. The pieces fit perfectly. Dr. James Huang, parapsychology researcher, worked with Hannah's mother 30 years ago, studying children with psychic abilities. Hannah had been one of his subjects. Her mother brought her to his facility when she was 3, desperate to understand why her daughter predicted things. The facility was shut down after allegations of abuse. Dr. Huang disappeared. Until now. "He's been with me my whole life," Hannah said, voice hollow. "Every vision, every murdered woman, it's been him training me, preparing me." Elias took her hand. "Then we end it. December 17th. That's when he'll come for you." "That's tomorrow." "I know." They looked at each other. Two people who'd been to hell and chosen each other over safety, over sanity, over survival. "If we do this," Hannah said, "there's no version where we both survive." "I know. So we're choosing each other over survival?" Elias smiled, sad, certain. "Oh, we already did, the moment we met." They didn't kiss, but Hannah leaned her forehead against his and they breathed together, and it was enough. December 17th arrived with freezing rain. Hannah woke at dawn in her apartment, Elias asleep on her couch where he'd insisted on staying the night before. She watched him for a moment, this man who'd believed her when no one else would, who'd loved her when loving her was dangerous, who'd chosen to face death with her rather than walk away. Whatever happened today, she wouldn't be alone. They spent the morning preparing, not weapons or barricades. Those wouldn't help against someone who could see their every move before they made it. Instead, they prepared mentally, spiritually. In Ethiopian Orthodox tradition, Elias explained, there's a concept called timkat, spiritual cleansing, the washing away of what doesn't belong to you. He took her hands. "I think the reason you see the future is because Dr. Huang opened a door in your mind when you were too young to close it. But you're not a child anymore. You're saying I can close the door. I'm saying we can. Together. Because I think the reason I started having dreams is because I'm connected to you. And maybe that connection is stronger than his." They sat cross-legged on her living room floor, facing each other, hands joined. Hannah closed her eyes and reached into her mind, searching for the presence she'd felt her whole life, the shadow, the voice, the killer who'd been there since she was 3 years old. She found him waiting. "Hello, Hannah, I've been expecting you." His voice in her head was warm, paternal, grotesque in its familiarity. "Get out of my mind," she said aloud. "Your mind. Darling, I built your mind. Without me, you're nothing. Just an ordinary woman with an ordinary life. I gave you purpose, power. Every vision you've had is my gift to you. You're a murderer. You killed those women to torture me. I killed them to train you, to prepare you. You're my masterpiece, Hannah. And tonight, you'll finally understand what you really are." Elias squeezed her hands, grounding her. "Build the door," he whispered, "like we practiced." In Hannah's mind, she visualized it, a door where none had existed before. Solid oak, heavy, deadbolt. Between her consciousness and the killer's, between her future and his. She felt Dr. Huang's presence surge, trying to stop her. The pressure was excruciating. Her nose started bleeding, but she held firm. "You don't own me," she said. "You never did. Every person I saved, that was my choice. Every life I protected, that was my power. You opened something in me, but I decided what to do with it, and I choose to close the door. You can't. This isn't possible. You're mine." And then Elias was there with her. She felt him in her mind, adding his strength to hers, his will to hers. Together they pushed against the presence that had haunted her for 30 years. The door slammed shut. The lock turned. Silence. The presence was gone. The voice was gone. 30 years of psychic bondage severed in an instant. Hana opened her eyes, gasping. Blood ran from her nose. Her hands shook. But the constant weight in her mind, the feeling of being watched, being invaded, was gone. Did it work? Elias asked, his own face pale with effort. Before she could answer, her apartment door exploded inward. Dr. James Huang stood in the doorway. An old man, barely 5'6", unremarkable except for the knife in his hand and the madness burning in his eyes, and the scar, the distinctive scar on his wrist, just like in Hana's vision. "If I can't have your mind," he said, voice shaking with rage, "I'll take your life." He lunged. Elias moved faster, tackled him, disarmed him. They crashed into the wall. The knife skittered across the floor. Hana grabbed it, kicked it into the hallway. Then, the apartment flooded with FBI agents. Marcus Grant, Elias's partner who'd been watching from across the street, burst through the door with a tactical team behind him. Dr. Huang was subdued, cuffed, dragged out screaming. "She's mine! She'll never be free! I made her! I own her!" But his voice had no power anymore, just the ranting of a broken man who'd lost his connection to the person he'd tried to control. Hana stood in the wreckage of her apartment, Elias beside her, and felt nothing from the killer. No pull, no presence, just blessed, ordinary silence. Hours later, after statements were given, after the FBI took Dr. Huang into custody, after Marcus pulled Elias aside and told him Internal Affairs was dropping their investigation given the arrest, Hana and Elias sat on her apartment floor, backs against the wall. The adrenaline had faded, the sun was setting, they'd survived. "Do you still see it?" Elias asked quietly. "The future?" Hana closed her eyes, reached out with her mind the way she'd done 1,000 times. Nothing, just silence. Just now. "No," she whispered. "It's gone, all of it." She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt empty. That curse had been the only extraordinary thing about her. Without it, who was she? Elias read her face like he always did. "You're the person who chose to save people even when it destroyed you. That doesn't change, just because the visions are gone. What about you, your dreams?" "Still there, quieter. But there." He paused. "I think maybe I was only connected to the visions because I was connected to you, and I'm not letting that go." This is when they finally kissed. Not dramatic, not desperate, just soft, certain. A promise that they'd both survived to keep. When they pulled apart, Hana asked, "What now?" Elias considered. "Now we figure out how to be two people who survived the impossible and have to learn how to live normal lives." "I don't know if I remember how to be normal." "Good, neither do I." They sat in the growing darkness, Seattle settling into night outside. Two people who'd been to hell and chosen each other over escape, over survival, over sanity. "Elias?" "Yeah?" "Thank you for not letting me run." He took her hand. "Thank you for not letting me hide." 6 months later. Rain drummed against the windows of the small house in Ballard. Hana stood at the stove, stress baking again. Some habits die hard. Cardamom and brown butter filled the kitchen with warmth. Elias sat at the table, reviewing a cold case file. His closure rate was still impossibly high. He claimed it was just good detective work. His colleagues suspected otherwise. No one asked. Hana had returned to the FBI as a consultant on cases involving potential psychic elements. They didn't officially acknowledge the paranormal, but they knew what she'd survived. They knew what she could do. Sometimes she woke from nightmares of visions that would never come again. Sometimes Elias dreamed of futures he couldn't prevent. But they woke up together, and that made the darkness survivable. "I had a dream last night," Elias said, not looking up from his file. Hana tensed. "About?" "About you, 30 years from now. Gray hair, still beautiful, still fierce." She relaxed, smiled. "That's a good dream." "It was." He set down the file, turned to her. "I also saw 2 kids in the background. A dog, maybe a cat. The house was full of noise and life and chaos." Hana raised an eyebrow. "Are you proposing?" "Not yet, but I'm telling you the future I'm choosing, and asking if you'll choose it with me." She crossed to him, flower on her hands, exhaustion and hope warring in her chest. "I spent years seeing futures I couldn't control. I think I'd like to build one I can." "Is that a yes?" Ask me again in 6 months and I'll probably say yes." Elias laughed, the sound filling the kitchen, the house, the life they were building together. "I can work with that." Outside, rain continued to fall over Seattle. The city did what it always did, kept moving, kept living, kept holding its people close. And inside, two people who'd been broken by the impossible learn it, slowly, how to be whole. The future, for the first time in Hannah's life, was unwritten, and that was exactly how she wanted it.